number of tweets talking about Lenny Machado, referencing a sex tape, but there's no definitive evidence that exists. Is that presidential? Is that the behavior of somebody who should be president for 50 days or 70 days from now, however long it is?
Anderson, let me answer it this way.
I know you know. Is it presidential?
Well, what does presidential mean? I mean,
well,
I know
worthy of the office of president. That's what it means. Worthy of somebody who would occupy the White House.
Anderson, I want the same test applied to him that was applied to every other president. And lots of those presidents were thought of in the day as not being, quote unquote, presidential. Andrew Jackson, right off the top of my head. Ronald Reagan, you know, he was an actor. That was a dumb thing to be doing, is nominating an actor. On and on the list goes. You don't put a peanut farmer in the Oval Office. I mean, Anderson,
listen, I'm a student of history, too. I love history, and it's important to see things in context. But you didn't answer the question, is this presidential behavior? Would you want the President of the United States to be up at 4 a.m. encouraging people to go look for a sex tape?
Yeah, if it's worth looking for, Anderson. Look, Anderson, seriously, I want to
don't even know what that means.
I want to make this as a serious point.
It is a serious point. Would you want the President of the United States up at 4 a.m. telling people, Americans, to go, kids, whoever's on his Twitter feed? Okay, yes.
Let me answer. What I'm trying to communicate to you is that there are a lot of Americans out there who think that all of this presidential stuff and all of these kind of conventions that we have are horse hockey, that they're held by arrogant people, conventional people who have disdain for the average guy. And he is out to them through Twitter and, yes, what we consider and what I would certainly consider to be unconventional methods. I'm suggesting to you that there is a different view out there from people on the receiving end. And I think that, you know, all year long, and before that, we've written Donald Trump off for A, B, and C reason.
I guess the only person on the receiving end of this is Ms. Machado. And you know, I don't know. I get that there's plenty of people who are fine with somebody doing that. I get that. I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to you, and you're a very smart, well-read historian, and you won't say whether or not it's presidential behavior. Anna, is this presidential behavior?
Hell no. This does not take rocket science. And let me rescue my friend Jeffrey. You know, he has grown on me like poisonous mushrooms, but he has grown on me. Look, Jeff, at some point, you know, you are a sane man. I mean, you do have a pathological clinical need to mention Ronald Reagan in every sentence, but you are a good, decent human being. It is time that surrogates for Trump stop the insanity and let this man know that it is unjustifiable, it is inexplicable, it is illogical, it is irrational, it is immature, it is unprecedented, it is unseemly, it is disgusting, and it is gross for somebody who is 5 weeks away from an election day for President of the United States, leader of the free world, to be tweeting at 4 a.m. in the morning about a sex tape. For the love of God, Jeffrey, you know better than this. Stop justifying the unjustifiable. Tell this man, Donald, I support you, and I beg you to stop acting like a teenage boy who can't restrain himself.
Do I get to respond to my friend Anna?
Sure,
yeah,
go ahead.
There's dead silence. We're just waiting.
I bet you are, Anderson. I bet you are.
No, stop laughing and be serious. This is the presidency of the United States, and it's democracy. We cannot continue cheapening this process.
Let him answer.
Continue coarsening the discourse.
All I'm trying to convey to you is that there is another view of this out there. Another view, and we have to be thinking of this. I mean, and I'll tell you one that Speaker Gingrich mentioned the other day, the collusion between the Clinton campaign and various media outlets in getting this story out there. They were prepped ahead of time. They were cued that she was going to mention Alicia Machado's name, and they set the whole thing up. That media manipulation is a big deal to a lot of people out here.
If you say something, Jeffrey,
the day after the debate, if your candidate had said, you know what, Back then, I was the owner of that pageant. Back then, I was an entertainer. I really shouldn't have said that things. I shouldn't have called a 19-year-old girl a fat pig, Miss Piggy, Miss Housekeeping. And you know what? I'm sorry
Anna,
for
have
it.
you heard
The
the
story
tape?
would be dead today.
Yeah.
Instead, he
I
has
understand.
kept it
Right.
alive
Yeah,
for 5
Jeffrey,
days.
you do
That
admit,
is stupid.
Jeffrey, you do admit that it's your candidate who has kept this alive. This isn't about collusion and
right.
media talking about this on, trying to extend
I
the
agree.
story.
Yes.
He has kept this alive.
Yes, Anderson, I do agree with that. I'm just suggesting that we may be playing under different rules here that none of us understand, with the possible exception of Donald Trump. That, all along the line here, he's done things. I mean, I remember the Wall Street Journal saying in the very beginning when he said something, I think it was the McCain quote, that, he had proceeded to his inevitable implosion. Well, he's now the Republican nominee. I'm just
I get it. Look, porn is popular. Look, maybe he's tapping into the porn electorate. I get it. Okay, maybe that's his brilliance. But I still, the basic question to me is it the behavior of somebody who should occupy the White House? And it's a question you won't answer. But
sure.
it's
neither
Anderson, yes or no. It's either presidential behavior or it's
Anderson,
not.
it isn't yes or no. Was Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky presidential behavior?
No, it
Hello?
wasn't.
Was-
and that's
was
why
what?
he got
All right.
impeached.
Someone was talking in my ear. I
And
didn't-
all of America agrees it wasn't presidential. There is nothing wrong with admitting when your candidate is doing something that is not presidential. Jeffrey, please rescue yourself, really.
All I'm saying to you is I think there is a different standard out there that we are not yet fully cognizant of in all of this. And the definition of what presidential is or is not, Anderson, and I would agree with you, but if that's what you want, yes, no, it is not presidential by the old standards. But I am not sure those standards apply anymore.
Okay, I guess
I
maybe I'm like totally behind the times, but I guess when I say what is presidential, I guess what I say when something's presidential is when there's a kid in 5th grade and he's sitting in his classroom and he's looking up and he sees the name of the president on the blackboard or he sees the president picture on there, that is somebody who he or she aspires to be like, aspires to emulate, and the teacher can say that is the president of the United States, they're a good, decent person, and they have values, and I mean, somebody that we look up to as Americans, and I'm just wondering, it just seems, and there's plenty of presidents who have not lived up to that, and, we've covered it extensively, but it just seems...
Or not in the day.
Well, yeah, I was not alive in the day of Andrew Jackson, and there wasn't TV. I don't know how much coverage Andrew Jackson got, but Bill Clinton got plenty of coverage, as I seem to recall in my early days at ABC News.
JFK did not, though. I mean, I think this began to break with Richard Nixon. I mean, we don't need to do the history thing here, but right. Anderson, I just think we need to be cautious. Yes, if you're asking me, do I think it's presidential by the old standards, I would say no. Okay. But I am not
Let
sure
let me just say this, Jeffrey. Decency, gravity, gravitas, seriousness are not old standards. They are the presidency of the United States. When you sit in that Oval Office, it's not about old standards or new standards. It's about decency. It's about humanity. It's about the knowledge of taking it very seriously that you are representing every American. Donald Trump is the only person I know who drunk tweets sober. And he does it at 4 a.m. in the morning. And it's time that you guys who support him tell him, put the phone down. Do not do this because you are reminding us that you are insane, erratic, and not fit to have the nuclear codes of this country.
Jeffrey, is it your understanding, I mean, is there anybody in Trump's circle who can say to him, you know what, delete your Twitter account? Or get an intern to be your Twitter person, or get a responsible person, get an employee to be your Twitter person. But, or between the hours of, midnight and 6:30 a.m., don't tweet. I mean, is there anybody in the circle who can talk to him like that?
Anderson, I think by his own admission, I think I'm right in this, that he says his wife has told him not to do this, and he does this. So right. I don't know what else to tell you.
Well, I think Melania, for the good of the country, should try to smother him with a pillow when she sees him grab that Twitter at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, because it is just insane what he's doing. Forget him running for president. He is an adult male, 70 years old, who is behaving like an irrepressible child who cannot restrain his basic needs. He is like a bull who sees a red cape and just charges, thrashes for it without thinking of the consequences.
Yeah,
it is not presidential. It is not Republican. And the reason I'm speaking so hard about this is because I want the American electorate to know he does not represent Republican values. He does not represent American values. And this Republican is unwilling to justify it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be in Charlotte. And it's great to be here to support a man who is going to change this country and move it in a different direction. A man who is going to make sure that there's more money in your pocket by lowering taxes. A man who's going to create more jobs so that people can work. The way out of poverty in America has always been a good education and a good job. And that's got to be the motto for us. A good education, a good job, that's the ladder to success. That's how Donald Trump became as successful as he is. And he is running for this office because he loves America. He loves you. He is doing this for you, not for him. Motto for us, a good education, a good job, that's the ladder to success. That's how Donald Trump became as successful as he is. And he is running for this office because he loves America. He loves you. He is doing this for you, not for him. And he is exactly the right man at the right time. We now need a person who can go to Washington with a big broom and clean it out. And clean it up. And he's running against a candidate who was the worst Secretary of State in my lifetime. She's running on her experience. Her experience is the reason to vote against her. It's experience of taking our distinguished State Department and turning it into a pay-for-play operation. In other words, if you donated millions to the fraudulent Clinton Foundation, you got a special favor from the State Department. You got to meet with an ambassador. Or you got a call to the Internal Revenue Service to go easy on your company. Or you got involved in a big deal where the Russians get 20% of our uranium, and you made a lot of money on that. You pay the Clinton Foundation, and then you had access to the pay-for-play State Department. I'm a former prosecutor. You know what I call that? I call that racketeering. She should have been indicted. She should have been indicted for destroying the 34,000 emails. She should have been indicted for being careless, extremely careless with national security information. Do you know if she applied for a job as an assistant U.S. attorney, you wouldn't be able to hire her because she couldn't pass an FBI background check? You're not going to hire someone who's been extremely careless with national security information. And she thinks we're stupid enough to elect a president of the United States? This is a woman who should be sitting in a courtroom defending herself, not running for president of the United States. If it were you or me, we'd be in that courtroom. You can bet your bottom dollar on that, boy. The Clintons have been given a free ride for too long. There's been a different standard applied to them than applied to you and me. They're part of the Washington insiders. We now have a chance to elect a man who funded his own campaign. He doesn't owe anything to anybody. He doesn't owe anything to special interests. He's not owned by this group or that group like Hillary Clinton is. She's like a puppet and people are pulling the strings. This is a man who stands up for what he believes in. He speaks straight, he speaks honest, and he's been successful in everything that he's done. And what he wants to do is make this country a country where we can dream of a future better for our children than it was for us. That's why he's running. That's what he's dedicated himself to. I've known him for 28 years, and this is what I know about him. When he puts his mind to doing something, he gets it done. And America is going to get the benefit of that when you make him our president. And it's my honor to introduce Donald J. Trump.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, and it's great to be in Charlotte. I just met with our many amazing employees right up the road at my property. I will tell you they like me very much. I guess I pay them a little bit too much. I'd like to take a moment to talk about the heartbreak and devastation in Louisiana, a state that is very, very special to me. We are one nation. When one state hurts, we all hurt. And we must all work together to lift each other up. Working, building, restoring together. Our prayers are with the families who have lost loved ones, and we send them our deepest condolences. Through words cannot express the sadness one feels at times like this. I hope everyone in Louisiana knows that our country is praying for them and standing with them to help them in these difficult hours. They are very, very difficult. Thank you. We are one country, one people, and we will have together one great, fantastic future. Together, I'd like to talk about the new American future that we are going to create as a team together. Last week, I laid out my plan to bring jobs back to our country. They are vanishing, and they are vanishing quickly. On Monday, I laid out my plan to defeat radical Islamic terrorism. On Tuesday, in Wisconsin, I talked about how we're going to restore law and order to this country. We need law and order. Without it, we have nothing. Let me take this opportunity to extend our thanks and our gratitude to the police and law enforcement officers in this country who have sacrificed so greatly in these very difficult times. And they are difficult. The chaos and violence on our streets and the assault on law enforcement are really and truly an attack against all peaceful citizens. If I'm elected president, this chaos and violence will end and it will end very, very quickly. Every single citizen in our land has a right to live in safety, to be one united nations. We must protect all of our people, all of our people. But we must also provide opportunities for all of our people. We cannot make America great again if we leave any community behind. Nearly 4 in 10 African American children are living in poverty. I will not rest until children of every color in this country are fully included in the American dream. Jobs, safety, opportunity is what we have to have, and it's what we need. Fair and equal representation. This is what I promise to African Americans, Hispanics, Americans, and of all types, of all colors, of all religions. This is what we promise. We all promise. Everybody in this room promises. This is what we have to do. But to achieve this new American future, we must break from the failures of the past. As you know, I'm not a politician. It's good. I've worked in business, created a great company, created lots of jobs, rebuilding neighborhoods. That's what I've done all of my adult life. I've never wanted to learn the language of the insiders, and I've never been politically correct. It takes far too much time. Sure. True. Truthfully, it takes far too much time and can often make it more difficult to achieve total victory. Sometimes, in the heat of debate and speaking on a multitude of issues, you don't choose the right words, or you say the wrong thing. I have done that. And believe it or not, I regret it.
Thank you.
And I do regret it, particularly where it may have caused personal pain. Too much is at stake for us to be consumed with these issues. But one thing I can promise you this: I will always tell you the truth. I speak the truth for all of you and for everyone in this country who doesn't have a voice, of which there are many. I speak the truth on behalf of the factory worker who lost his or her job. And that's happening more and more in our country. I speak the truth on behalf of the veteran who has been denied the medical care they need and the medical care they deserve. And so many are not making it, but they're going to make it if Trump becomes president. That I can tell you. They are dying on lines waiting for a doctor. We are going to take care of our veterans. I speak the truth on behalf of the family living near the border that deserves to be safe in their own country, but is instead living with no security and no protection at all. We will build the wall. Believe me, we will build the wall. Our campaign is about representing the great majority of Americans, Republicans, Democrats, independents, conservatives, and liberals who read the newspaper or turn on the television and don't hear anyone speaking for them. All they hear are insiders fighting for other insiders. That's what they do. These are the forgotten men and women in our society, and they are angry at so much and on so many levels. The poverty, the unemployment, the failing schools, the jobs moving to other countries. I'm fighting for these forgotten Americans. "14 months ago, I declared my campaign for the presidency on the promise to give our government back to the people. Every day since then, I've worked to repay the loyalty and the faith that you have put in me. Every day, I think about how much is at stake for our country in the upcoming election. This isn't just the fight of my life. It's the fight of our lives, together, to save our country. Thank you. I refuse to let another generation of American children be excluded from the American dream, which is what's happening. Our whole country loses when young people of limitless potential are denied the opportunity to contribute their talents because we fail to provide them the opportunities that they deserve. Let our children be dreamers too. Our whole country loses every time a kid doesn't graduate from high school or fails to enter the workforce, or worse still, is lost to the dreadful world of drugs and crime. And so many are. So many. When I look at the failing schools, the terrible trade deals, the infrastructure crumbling in our inner cities, I know all of this can be fixed, and I can fix it, but I know it can be fixed very, very quickly if we know what we're doing. In the world I come from, if something is broken, you fix it. If something isn't working, you replace it. If a product doesn't deliver, you make a change. I have no patience for injustice, no tolerance for government incompetence, and that's what it is gross incompetence. And no sympathy for leaders who fail their citizens. That's why I am running to end the decades of bitter failure and to offer the American people a new future of honesty, justice, and opportunity. A future where America and its people always and I mean always, comes first. America first. Remember, America first. America first. Aren't you tired of a system that gets rich? And this is a system which is getting very rich at your expense. That's what's happening. Aren't you tired of the same old lies and the same old broken promises? And Hillary Clinton has proven to be one of the greatest liars of all time. All time. Aren't you tired of arrogant leaders who look down on you instead of serving and protecting you? And that's what's happening. That is all about to change very, very soon. How about November 8th? November 8th. We are going to put the American people first again. I've traveled all across this country, laying out my bold and modern agenda for change. In this journey, I will never lie to you. I will never tell you something I do not believe. I will never put anyone's interests ahead of yours. And I will never, ever stop fighting for you. I have no special interest controlling me, and I have no special interest. I'm spending millions and millions of dollars on my own campaign. I'm funding my campaign. My only interest is the American people. It's my interest. This country has been so good to me, I'm giving back, and that's what it's all about, giving back. So, while sometimes I can be too honest, Hillary Clinton is the exact opposite. She never tells the truth. One lie after another, and getting worse with each passing day. Thank you. The American people are still waiting for Hillary Clinton to apologize for all of the many lies she's told to them and the many times she has betrayed the American people at great danger to them. Tell me, has Hillary ever apologized for lying about her illegal email server and deleting 33,000 emails? Has Hillary Clinton apologized for turning the State Department into a pay-for-play operation where favors are sold to the highest bidder, which is exactly what's happening? Has she apologized for lying to the families who lost loved ones at Benghazi? Has she apologized for putting Iran on a path to nuclear weapons? Has she apologized for Iraq, for Libya, for Syria? Has she apologized for unleashing ISIS across the world? She and Barack Obama unleashed ISIS. Whether you like it or don't like it, whether you want to hear it or don't, that's what happened. Has Hillary Clinton apologized for the decisions she made that have led to so much death, destruction, and terrorism? Speaking of lies, we now know from the State Department, just announced, that President Obama lied about the $400 million in cash that was flown to Iran. It was flown to Iran. $400 million in cash. He denied it was for the hostages, but it was. Just came out. He said, we don't pay ransom, but we did. He lied about the hostages openly and blatantly, just like he lied about Obamacare. You remember, you can have your doctor, you can have your plan, right? You can have your doctor, you can have your plan. Didn't work out that way. Now the administration has put every American traveling overseas, including our military personnel, at greater risk of being kidnapped. Hillary Clinton owns President Obama's Iran policy. One more reason she can never, ever be allowed to be president. Let's talk about the economy. Here, in this beautiful and great state, so many people had suffered because of NAFTA. NAFTA. Remember NAFTA, what it's done to this country. Bill Clinton signed the deal, and Hillary Clinton supported the deal. North Carolina has lost nearly half of its manufacturing jobs since NAFTA went into effect. Bill Clinton also put China into the World Trade Organization, another Hillary Clinton-backed disaster. Your city of Charlotte has lost 1 in 4 manufacturing jobs since China joined the WTO, and many of these jobs were lost while Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, our chief diplomat with China. She was a disaster, totally unfit for this job, totally unfit. Hillary Clinton owes the state of North Carolina a very big apology. And I think you'll get that apology around the same time you'll get to see her 33,000 deleted emails. In other words, you'll never see the apology. Another major issue in this campaign has been the border. Our open border has allowed drugs and crime and gangs to pour into our country and our communities. So much needless suffering, so much preventable death. I've spent time with the families of wonderful Americans whose loved ones were killed by the open borders and sanctuary cities that Hillary Clinton supports. I've embraced crying parents who've lost their children to violence spilling across our border. Parents like Laura Wilkerson and Michelle Root and Sabine Durden and my friend Jamil Shaw, whose children were killed by illegal immigrants so needlessly. My opponent supports sanctuary cities. But where were these sanctuaries for Kate Steinle? Where were they? Where were they? Where was it? Where was the sanctuary for Kate? Think about it. Where was the sanctuary for the children of Laura and Michelle and Sabine and Jamil? Where was the sanctuary for every other parent who has suffered so horribly? These moms and dads don't get a lot of consideration from our politicians. They certainly don't get apologies. They'll never even get the time of day from Hillary Clinton. She doesn't even care, I'm convinced. But they will always come first to me. Listen closely. We will deliver justice for all of these great American families. We will create a system of immigration that makes us all proud. Hillary Clinton's mistakes destroy innocent lives, sacrifice national security, and betray the working families of this country. Please remember this. I will never put personal profit before national security. Nobody should. I will never leave our border open to appease donors and special interests, which is what Hillary is doing, and they are being appeased. I will never support a trade deal that kills American jobs. I will never, ever put the special interests before the national interests. I will never put a donor before a voter or a lobbyist before a citizen. Instead, I will be a champion for the people. The establishment media doesn't cover what really matters in this country or what's really going on in people's lives. They will take words of mine out of context and spend a week obsessing over every single syllable and then pretend to discover some hidden meaning in what I said. Just imagine for a second if the media spent this energy holding the politicians accountable who got innocent Americans like Kate Steinle killed. She was gunned down by an illegal immigrant who had been deported 5 times. Just imagine if the media spent time, and lots of time, investigating the poverty and joblessness of the inner cities. Just think about how much different things would be if the media in this country sent their cameras to our border, to our closing factories, or to our failing schools. Or if the media focused on what dark secrets must be hidden in the 33,000 emails that Hillary Clinton illegally deleted. Thank you. Instead, every story is told from the perspective of the insider. It's the narrative of the people who rigged the system, never the voice of the people it's been rigged against, believe me. So many people suffering for so long in silence. No cameras, no coverage, no outrage from the media class that seems to get outraged over just about everything else. So again, it's not about me. It's never been about me. It's been about all the people in this country who don't have a voice. I am running to be your voice. Thank you. I am running to be the voice for every forgotten part of this country that has been waiting and hoping for a better future. I am glad that I make the powerful, and I mean very powerful, a little uncomfortable now and again, including some of the powerful people, frankly, in my own party. Because it means that I'm fighting for real change. Real change. There's a reason hedge fund managers, the financial lobbyists, the Wall Street investors are throwing their money all over Hillary Clinton, because they know she will make sure the system stays rigged in their favor. It's the powerful protecting the powerful. The insiders fighting for the insiders. I am fighting for you. Here is the change I propose. On terrorism, we are going to end the era of nation building and instead focus on destroying ISIS and radical Islamic terrorism. We will use military, cyber, and financial warfare and work with any partner in the world and the Middle East that shares our goal of defeating terrorism. I have a message for the terrorists.